Chapter 4262. The players received a response from the game officials that Empress Zeta's performance was normal. They also said that the game character's setting was very special from the very beginning. The game character itself was a sudden idea. If there was an NPC who was full of malice towards the players, as long as they were in her territory, no matter how strong the players were, they would be defeated by her scepter. They also said a weakness. That was, after walking out of the Purple Tower City, her strength would be weakened, and she would only have the strength of an ordinary player. As for how to break into the light, gain Empress Zeta's approval, or kill her, the design team did not set this in the beginning. They only put some treasures in her hands. What if the players really succeeded? Therefore, this was the reason why players didn't have to go through the Purple Tower Queen's palace to reach the place they wanted to go. The players thought that this was intentional by the game team. It was intentional, but it was not necessary for them to break through. Even they themselves had not broken through. After half a year, the character of this different game character had finally become more and more realistic. I see that some players are asking if we should release some Empress Zeta's merchandise. In the early days of the game, some people thought that Empress Zeta looked good and often drew her. Yes, it's good to release the merchandise now. Pick a suitable day to customize it. Many people should be interested. At dawn, many players quickly came online to the Purple Tower. Sure enough, the doors of the Purple Pagoda were already open. They ran in happily and saw the incomparably noble Purple Pagoda Empress sitting on a throne. She was holding a scepter and looking at them indifferently. She looked like a queen. With this temperament, they were worthy of coming in. She is indeed Empress Zeta. If it weren't for the team this time, I wouldn't be able to come in. When Tangwa saw so many people come in at once, her cold voice sounded. Humans, this is not a place for you to come. Go back to where you came from. Wow. Last time, this was not her line. Big data is awesome, and her lines are so smart. The players spoke one after another. They were willing to serve Empress Zeta. They just wanted to go through the teleportation portal. Tangwa glanced at them coldly. You are just mortals. You don't deserve to use the teleportation portal. Get out of here. Oh, Empress Zeta called me a mortal. Why do I want to be scolded again? Tangwa was a little speechless. Are these human players playing fighting games? They like to be scolded? She found that these players' expressions, they did not have any evil intentions. They were just interested in her scolding. On the other hand, some of the silent players looked at her with a complicated expression, as if they were pondering how to get past her. Although these Dum were cute, he still couldn't just casually give them the artifact and let them pass the level. Dear Empress Zeta. Among the human players, a little lowly suddenly ran out. She had 2 cute ponytails. She bounced in front of Tangwa and stared at her with her big eyes. In order to see you, I saved up my pocket money for a long time before I asked the guards to send me in. Ah, Empress Zeta, I'm your #1 fan. Can I pass through the teleportation portal? Little Miss Muddle passed through yesterday. I heard that the mission you gave to Little Miss Muddle was to praise you and write articles. The Summit. Chapter 4263. Empress Zeta, my name is Tangwa. I'm the king of sweets. You can call me Tangwa. I like you the most. I've been drawing you in class, and the teacher even confiscated my book. Also, my essay scores have always been higher than Little Miss Muddle's. I've memorized a lot of words. If I write an essay praising you, it'll definitely be better than Little Miss Muddle's. Just let me pass. As she spoke, the Candy King walked up to Tangwa and pulled her sleeve, acting coquettishly. Her cute and adorable appearance almost made Tangwa agree. Were all Lolas so cute these days? One of them was already so cute. If she didn't agree to it, wouldn't she be suspected of bullying children? She was a very principled NPC. She would not agree just because someone flattered her. Tangwa glanced at the sweet Candy King and tugged at her sleeves. If you want to talk, then talk properly. Don't pull my sleeves. Didn't your parents teach you that? But I like you. That's why I pulled your sleeve. I don't even want to pull other people's sleeves. It turns out that you're even better looking than the painting. Candy, candy, sweet joy, king of all candies, thought to himself that the people from the game company were so trashy. The pictures they made even made Empress Zeta look ugly. This time, she was lucky enough to meet Empress Zeta. When she went back, she would definitely draw her even better. Therefore, she had to look at it seriously and carefully. She couldn't miss a single detail on the clothes. She didn't know when she would grow up. When she grew up, she would be able to work in this company and personally draw clothes for Empress Zeta. Tangwa could tell that the little loli was still in a daze. She didn't know what strange things she had thought of, but she was still smiling foolishly. Dear host, I've investigated this little loli for you. In order to see you, she even applied for sick leave from school today. However, she was a genius. Taking a day off would not affect anything. She was telling the truth when she said that her essay score was higher than that Misty lady's. Every time, the language teacher would deduct her points out of friendship. The system suddenly appeared and told Tangwa about the loli. Also, this little loli is 13 years old this year, but she's already a high school student. She's very talented in drawing, but her weakness is mathematics. Mathematics is a bad subject. She only scored 9 marks last semester. Tangwa almost laughed out loud. She did not know how she got 9 marks in math. Sure enough, even geniuses would have their windows closed by God. She thought of a mission that she should assign to this little loli. She was not good at math, right? Then she would give her a math problem to do. She would do it crazily. If she couldn't finish it, she wouldn't pass the exam. Then, the mission would be a failure. System, I suddenly feel the host's great malice. Will this little loli be all right? Candy was still tugging at Tangwa's sleeve. The other players were speechless when they saw this. Is this even okay? Was this okay? Looking at Empress Zeta's expression, she didn't seem to be angry. Could it be that she preferred little loli? Everyone present looked at each other. It was a pity that there was only one little loli present, the Candy King. Her voice was still childish. Hearing it, people would think that she had been manipulated. If they wanted to remodel their faces, they would have to spend money to buy a remodel card. A remodel card cost 10,000 renminbi. This was the game company's way of preventing people from casually remodel their faces and causing trouble for other players. Therefore, the threshold was set higher. In any case, most people would not be willing to pay. Chapter 4264. However, there were also some female players who were very dissatisfied and said some sour words. Schwelinger said, I didn't expect to meet such a pretentious bitch in the game. She made her face look like a little loli and even imitated the voice of a little loli. Can't she feel it? Miss Worryless said, don't you know that even if a guy knows that a pretentious bitch is cute and pretty, he'll still suck up to her? Schwelinger said, anyway, she's disgusting. Only otakus like this pretentious girl who makes her face look like a little loli. Some female players agreed. This kind of girl who pretended to be a little loli was disgusting. However, there were also some players who spoke up for them, saying that they were jealous. Candy Fruit heard these words and was displeased. She yelled, bodyguards, help me kill Schwelinger and Miss Worryless. Double the price we agreed on. Kill them every time they come online. You don't have to protect me anymore. Then her expression changed. She leaned against Tangwa and said, Empress Zeta, they bullied me. I'll stay here with you today. Tangwa patted her head. She did feel that Candy Fruit was a little like a little tea, but it was still a cute cup of tea. Little girl, do you want to use the teleportation array too? Candy Fruit said, of course I do. Empress Zeta, will you let me go? Then she put on a pitiful face. She did not casually pinch the loli's face. This loli's appearance was quite similar to her own. As for the voice, it was also her own. She was originally a cute and lovable girl. Tangwa thought, I was waiting for you to say that. Little girl, it's not easy to use the teleportation array. You don't have the right to use it if you don't pass the test. Even if I let you go, you might die in the teleportation array. The players were dumbfounded. Did the game company secretly add a new setting? The game company, we won't take the blame. Candy Fruit said, no matter how difficult it is, I'll go. Tangwa touched her head and looked at her with tender eyes. Since you are so determined, I will give you a chance. But what do I need to do? Tangua's face was full of smiles. For some reason, Empress Zeta looked especially beautiful when she smiled, but all the players felt a chill down their spines, as if something bad was about to happen. Tangua began to talk about the mission. A long time ago, a mysterious person came to Purple Pagoda City. It was said that he came from a very magical world. In that world, he was called a mathematician. System: Dear host, you must be a devil to make up stories. The other players were also captivated by Tangua's story as they listened to the narration. This was the first time they had seen Empress Zeta assign a quest. It seemed like this quest was not going to be easy. When the mysterious mathematician left, he said that he was very grateful for my hospitality and left behind some secret scrolls. I have gathered all the mathematicians in Purple Pagoda City, but they were unable to solve these secret scrolls. All the players they vaguely guessed that the mysterious mathematician didn't leave behind a set of mathematical problems for Empress Zeta, right? If that was the case, they didn't know why they wanted to laugh. The Summit. Chapter 4265. I need someone to help me solve these secret scrolls. If you can solve all the secret scrolls, I will pay you handsomely and allow you to use the teleportation portal. Candigua was a little nervous, but this was a task assigned to her by Empress Zeta. Everyone else was jealous, so she couldn't reject it, right? I don't know about the secret scrolls. Do I really have to solve them to complete the task? Is there a time limit? Tangua, there is no time limit. After all, it was left behind by the mysterious mathematician. No matter how much time you spend, as long as you can solve it completely, the task will be completed. I know this task should be very difficult for you. You can choose to give up. In the future, I will choose someone who is fated to complete it. As soon as she said this, many players were ready to take action, especially those who thought that they were good at mathematics. Anyway, it was good to be able to complete the task and get a reward. It wasn't like they hadn't done it before, and there was no time limit. If they encountered something they didn't know, they could write it down and go back to their books to do it again. I'll take it. Candigua felt that someone wanted to steal her task and quickly agreed. Just as she agreed, she was scared. If it was a mathematics question, how long would it take for her to complete the task? Tangua said with a smile on her face. Brave little girl, I'm very happy that you accepted this difficult task. I will specially arrange a room for you. Inside the room is the secret scroll left by the mysterious mathematician. You only need to use the token to enter the room. After Tangua finished speaking, a token appeared in Candigua's hand. Then she went into the small room Tangua prepared for her. At this moment, many people were circling Candigua and asking her what the task was. They were too curious. Sitting on a small bench and looking at the stack of test papers, Candigua was dizzy and her fingers were trembling. She sent what she saw to the public channel. The secret scrolls are 3 years of college entrance examination and 5 years of simulation. I'm going to die, I'm going to die. I feel like I can't complete this task in my lifetime. I only scored 9 points in the mathematics questions last semester. The players were speechless. I don't know why I want to laugh. Sure enough, Empress Zeta's task isn't simple at all. I thought that the mysterious mathematician had only left behind one set of exam papers. I didn't expect that he had left behind countless sets of exam papers. Furthermore, they were all 3 years of college entrance exams and 5 years of mock papers. Is this poisonous? Is it so unfriendly to high school students? No. I feel that this is more friendly for high school students. You said that those who are not high school students don't know how to do it, and those who have graduated have already forgotten it. Isn't it very painful to do the questions? Since I'm a high school student, it's easy for me to complete this mission. I don't know how old Candy Fruit is. Oh yeah, didn't she say that she got 9 marks in her math exam last semester? She even knows about the 3 years of college entrance exams and 5 years of mock exams. Most likely, she's a high school student. As expected, she's not very friendly to high school students. I even suspect that she's being targeted by Empress Zeta. Maybe it's because of the big data collection that Candigua's math scores are poor. The gaming company is too evil. They must have created this to play with us. Luckily, I didn't get this mission. This mission is too difficult. Game company, yes, yes, yes. It's all my fault. Candy fruit, it's too difficult, too difficult. Why is it a math question? Seeing the reactions of the players, Tangwa decided that she would choose these very special players to give out missions in the future. As for the ordinary ones, they were not fun at all. She would kill them and send them back to the beginner's village. As for the ones that made her uncomfortable, she would hang them outside the purple tower. The following players were either killed and sent back to the beginner's village or hung outside the purple tower. In the afternoon, the players who went to work during the day came back from work. After eating, they couldn't wait to lay down in the gaming cabin and enter the game. Unexpectedly, when they opened their eyes, they found themselves still hanging outside the purple tower. Their eyes were wide open. The gaming company must have secretly changed the settings. Didn't they say that no matter how dangerous the place is, as long as you go offline, you will be considered dead and sent back to the beginner's village? Did you guys know? This morning, another person received Empress Zeta's mission. Peek. Chapter 4266. Who is it? Why is she so lucky? Many players who did not come online during the day asked. They felt that the game company was lying. They must have secretly changed Empress Zeta's settings. They still refused to admit it. Trashy game company. Game company, yes, yes, yes. It's a long name. It's a little lowly. Everyone calls her Candy Candy. She's a flunky who only scored 9 points in mathematics. She's lucky to be able to receive a mission from Empress Zeta. Unlike us, not only do we not have a mission, but we also have to be hung up here to be dried meat. What's so lucky about that? She might not be able to complete the mission that Empress Zeta gave her in her lifetime. What mission? Is it difficult? I remember that the first 2 players who triggered the mission had simple missions. Actually, I suspect that the reason why the first 2 players' missions were so simple was because the game company was adjusting the details and there was a bug. However, they did not want to admit it. Now that they have adjusted the bug, naturally, the mission that Empress Zeta gave would be more difficult. Tell me, what mission did Empress Zeta give to the little lowly who scored 9 points in mathematics? It's not a strange mission. It's just a 3-year college entrance exam and a 5-year simulation. Fuck. Giving this mission to a flunky who scored 9 points in mathematics? Is Empress Zeta crazy? Who knows? I heard from some people that the little lowly who scored 9 points said that she went to the mission room to do questions as soon as she came online. I don't know when she will finish them. I really think that she will never be able to pass this mission in her lifetime. We should think about how to leave this place. What's the difference between us and salted fish now? There were many players hanging outside the purple tower. Many of them were hung there last night. They thought that after going offline, they would automatically return to the beginner's village when they came online again. Who knew that they would still be in the same place? More and more players entered the purple tower. The number of players hanging in the purple tower was still increasing. The players who were killed and sent back to the beginner's village happily ran to the purple tower to be tortured. Finally, around 10 p.m., a player found a way to get rid of being hung there. That was to commit suicide and return to the novice village. Actually, this was an escape route that Tangwa had left for them. She couldn't just leave them hanging outside, could she? She suspected that if this continued, the purple pagoda wouldn't even be able to hang up. After the strategy was released, the players who were hanging on the purple tower committed suicide one after another and returned to the novice village. What made them cry was that after committing suicide, they would lose 5 levels. Usually, when they were killed back to the novice village, they would only lose 1 level. There are too many people. I don't think this will work. The guards here are too weak. I, Empress Zeta, have to deal with the stronger players personally. Dear host, do you want me to help you change the attributes of these guards and increase their strength? The system said quietly, Dear host, do you want me to help you change the attributes of these guards to increase their strength? No, it won't be fun if the game company finds out. The guards are probably the ones with the most average intelligence in this game. They aren't important characters and are similar to small soldiers. Once the data is abnormal, the game company will definitely make adjustments. Then wouldn't it be very difficult for the host? Speaking of which, I don't know the identity of that guy this time. If he is a player, does the host plan to kill him back to the novice village or hang him outside the Purple Tower? The system asked secretly. Chapter 4267. Why don't you think in a better direction? Don't you think it's cruel to hang people outside and kill them back to the novice village? System, cruel? Didn't the host abuse players like this every day? Why didn't she think it was cruel? She really had double standards. What if she's not obedient? The system made a guess. If she's not obedient, does the host have double standards? It depends on the situation. Didn't we not encounter it? We'll talk about it when we encounter it. You gossip system, don't you want to go play in your system home software? I heard you made a lot of good friends. No matter how many good friends you have, you can't forget the host. I'm afraid you'll need help here, so I'm always keeping an eye on you. Only after chatting with those systems did he realize how lucky he was to be bound to the host. Recently, in the forums, there were a lot of systems complaining that the host was lying flat at the drop of a hat. No matter how much they threatened, it was useless. They would rather the host be fierce and warn them. Such a host would at least be very good at missions and missions. However, the recent batch of idle hosts were really idling. Many systems had not been upgraded, but the mission hosts did not panic at all. They had no ability and were courting death in every dimension. Even if the system said that if they failed the mission 10 times, the binding would be removed and they would be sent to reincarnation. In the end, these idle hosts were not afraid at all. They even laughed and said that they had earned a lot. They could actually survive. This made the system almost explode. There were not many hosts who did missions seriously like Big Brother Tang Kuei. Fast-eyed 123, even a host like Tang Jiao who had a powerful backer was not bad. At least the mission progress could be completed. Unlike those idle hosts. God, I really don't want to complain. The system relayed this to Tangua. Tangua also fell silent. After a while, she asked, regarding this, did the Space Administration not take corresponding measures? For example, at the beginning of the binding, they chose a suitable person first, signed a contract, and did the mission seriously. If they failed, then it's fine. But they're just muddling through. Isn't this a waste of resources? It's said that an internal meeting is already underway. However, the company's internal staff have not updated the rules yet. The boss of the Space Administration is not around, so they do not have the authority to do so. Currently, they can only ask the system to keep their eyes open and choose the people's lives to take note of. Little Tongzi is so smart. Teach them more. From what you said, these systems are not easy. Don't worry, the Tongzi now respect me very much. I write some strategies on how to choose an excellent host in the forum every day. Every time I post a post, it becomes a hot post in a short while and is set to be a highlight post. Speaking of which, although this system of mine is a wild one and doesn't have a serial number, its intelligence is something that these numbered systems can't compare to. The system snorted and was especially proud. All the systems with serial numbers had to call him boss. Who else could it be? Tangua did not expect that Tong Zi would be recognized by all the systems so quickly and even become their boss. By the way, Madam Host, there are so many people disturbing you every day. We have to think of a way to deal with them. Although you are invincible, these players seem to have an endless amount of energy. Even if they lose levels, they still want to attack you. I've already figured out what to do. Verse. Chapter 4268. Purple Tower Tournament? When the players wanted to enter the Purple Tower, they suddenly saw a huge signboard at the entrance of the Purple Tower. The biggest words on the signboard were reflected in their minds. What is Empress Zeta up to again? What is the Purple Tower Tournament? Is there a need to say more? It must be something created by a trashy game company to torture players like us. But then again, the trashy game company didn't release any new products in the market this time. They are quite conscientious. It should be said that they have secretly made changes recently. They didn't release any new products to make money. I guess they know that they are in the wrong and have a conscience. Do you think that capitalists have a conscience? Most likely there are various bugs. Just look at the recent situation. As long as Empress Zeta is around, I will play this game for a day. These bugs are quite fun. Tang was silently listened to the discussion of the group of fighters. She wanted to remind them to take a look at her new announcement. The players' attention quickly fell on the announcement on the signboard. Purple Tower Tournament Season Onis. There were more guests in the Purple Tower City recently. Empress Zeta decided to hold a Purple Tower Tournament. She would like to invite all guests to display their strengths and win the competition. Start time. From the moment the announcement is made, end time, until the champion of the first season of the tournament is selected. The specific rules were as follows. Outside the Purple Tower, there were 10 arenas. There was a guard on each arena, and there was no limit to the number of times they could go up and down. In other words, even if they were knocked out of the arena, they could continue to challenge because it was not an elimination round. Whoever could defeat 200 people first would be the champion of the first season of the Purple Tower Tournament. They would also receive a mission from Empress Zeta and a small reward. So, all guests, please get ready. The Purple Tower Tournament will begin. While the players were still in a daze, the guards outside the Purple Tower divided the locations of the 10 arenas. They also marked arenas from number 1 to number 10. Then, they realized that the guards carried an especially luxurious chair out of the Purple Tower and placed it at the highest position. Then, Empress Zeta floated out and landed on the throne. She glanced at the crowd indifferently as if she was looking down on all living beings. Tangwa looked at these people faintly. Isn't this better? She could see players killing each other every day, but she could still watch the show without getting tired. It was estimated that it would take a while for a player to emerge victorious. As for the difficulty of the competition, it would be decided after a season. If killing 200 people was too easy, she could always level up later. The players regained their senses and looked at Empress Zeta. Are you kidding me? The champion had to kill 200 people first? In other words, if he couldn't reach the top 200, then all his previous efforts would have been for nothing. Would he still have to wait for the next tournament? But then again, this tournament did increase the chances of Empress Zeta giving out quests. 200 players wasn't a difficult task for high-level, high-strength, and high-equipment players. It was just a matter of time. Let's do it. It's better than being killed back to the novice village for no reason. I'll be the first to enter the arena. This tournament is quite interesting. Even if I can't kill 200 people, it's worth it. This trashy game company finally has a conscience for once. Game company, I don't know anything. Top point. Chapter 4269. The news of Empress Zeta holding the Purple Tower Tournament had been spread by some rich players in the World Channel. Many players who were doing quests and killing monsters in other places were in disbelief when they saw it. They were thinking that the trashy game company was up to no good again. They were so sneaky with the updates now. What was the Purple Tower Tournament? The Tycoon players had a lot of loudspeakers, and they were talking on the World Channel as if they didn't need money to explain the Purple Tower Arena Tournament. After the players saw it, they all rushed to Purple Tower City. However, they had to pass through layers of guards and monsters to reach the tournament. Low-level players were still unable to enter. There were more and more players in Purple Tower City. Many players even planned to stay up all night to work. Many rich players were not in a hurry. They planned to wait and see. After all, they did not know what would happen in the first season. The employees of the game company were called back to work overtime. Empress Zeta is up to something again. She set up a Purple Tower tournament. First, killing 200 players will trigger a quest. She even gave a small reward. In terms of data, we did not find any abnormalities. Perhaps Empress Zeta is on the path that we had hoped for from the beginning after half a year. Because of this, the game company did not suspect that Tangua was up to no good. The important NPCs in this game would become very smart after interacting with human players. Their IQ was similar to that of ordinary people. They were definitely not as dumb as the NPCs in other games. The difference between them and ordinary people was that they collected data to form their own IQ. Without OC, they became smarter and smarter. They did not have their own consciousness. There's another piece of good news. Because the Purple Tower Queens suddenly held a tournament, many players decided to give it their all. Just in the past 2 hours, the amount of money that the players have spent on their accounts has already reached close to 10 million. Damn. Although we did not take advantage of the situation to sell new products, Empress Zeta actually brought us such a surprise. Yeah, I didn't expect the players to be so satisfied with Empress Zeta's settings. I think that as long as there are no problems, we shouldn't interfere too much with Empress Zeta's data update. If we restrict her development, the players will be dissatisfied. I didn't think that the players nowadays would be like this. They like to be bullied by NPCs. Also, I heard from the grapevine that some game companies saw a business opportunity in this and wanted to design an NPC like Empress Zeta who would cheat the players. Based on Empress Zeta's current development, I don't think we need to worry too much. We've spent several years just to design her, and we've even connected her to all the big data on the internet. She'll have access to any updated data from the outside world. Therefore, even if the other game companies want to take advantage of this bonus, as long as Empress Zeta is around, they won't be able to win. The amount of money that the players spent on their accounts is still rising. Now, I hope that Empress Zeta's tournament can continue. Let's go and take a look in the game. Leave 2 people to watch the data, especially Empress Zeta's. Don't mess up. She's our baby now. The Summit. Chapter 4270. Tangwa leaned against the throne and looked at the players fighting below. She was in a good mood. She should have been like this a long time ago. The players seemed to be very happy, and she was very happy too. Wasn't this a win-win situation? The game company had made a lot of money tonight, right? If they had a conscience, they should give her more clothes and items. It would be best to prepare more rewards for the players. It was quite fun being an NPC. She didn't know when Song Lin would come. Would he participate in the Purple Tower competition? How was she going to deal with Song Lin then? The players who didn't go up to the arena were observing Empress Zeta, who was sitting on the throne and looking down on the world. A few internal staff members of the game company were also observing her. Tangwa noticed them and glanced at them indifferently. She waved her hand and ordered the guards. I think that these people look very suspicious. They keep looking around. I suspect that they are spies who sneaked in and want to harm my Purple Tower city. Go and catch them quickly. The internal staff of the game company. What? Are you kidding me? They are the designer's father and Empress Zeta's daughter. You can't treat your father like this. However, they were also very curious about what Empress Zeta would do to them, so they didn't resist. They were tied up and brought to Tangwa. Tangwa glanced at them coldly. Which country sent you spies from? We are not spies. Then why were you looking around just now? Were you looking at the topographic map of Purple Tower City to prepare for the attack in the future? Tangwa still didn't believe them. These people were internal staff of the game company. Of course, she knew. She was just scaring them. The boss of the game company, Yushing, quickly said, "We are all country bumpkins from the countryside. We have never seen such a prosperous city. When we came in, everything was shining. It was so bright that it almost blinded my eyes. I couldn't help but look." The others, "Boss, where is your integrity? You are quite good at lying." Tangwa glanced at the woman in front of her who was lying through her teeth. The woman was wearing a blue dress with starlight on it. She had long silver curly hair and wore an exquisite crown on her head. The various accessories on her were enough to blind the eyes of ordinary players. "Who are you trying to lie to? I'll accompany you for the rest of my life." Feeling Tangwa's gaze on her, she lowered her head and saw the princess dress that she had designed for herself, as well as the various accessories on her wrist. Her face stiffened. If she knew that this would happen, she wouldn't have dressed so grandly. She would have just wrapped herself in a rag. "Where did you get those things on you? They're obviously expensive." "You're lying." "Yushing, why are you so smart? What should she do?" How could she have known that the Purple Tower Empress would be so smart? Now, she had trapped herself with a lie. Seeing that Tangwa's gaze was getting more and more unfriendly, Yushing continued, "When I first came to the big city, I met a beautiful and kind princess. But she wasn't as beautiful as Empress Zeta. She pitied my tattered clothes and gave me a set of clothes. The staff of the game company, boss, you really know how to make up stories. Keep making up stories. Tangua's gaze fell on the others. What about them? The items on them are also extraordinary. The staff of the game company, oh, boss, let's see how you can make up stories now. Empress Zeta is really smart. Do you think you can fool an NPC? Chapter 4271. I'll accompany you for the rest of my life, but I didn't expect that the Purple Tower Empress would be so observant. Seeing that the other party was still suspicious, if she didn't explain herself, this matter wouldn't be over. Her mind quickly turned. Tangua found it funny when she saw the other party's reaction. If they couldn't answer her question, she would lock them all up in the dungeon. She felt that it was dangerous to play with Empress Zeta. At this moment, she thought of an excuse. Actually, they are all my admirers. I have always wanted to come to Purple Tower City to meet Empress Zeta. They are all princes of different countries, so they are dressed differently. When they heard that I was coming here, they thought that it would be dangerous to come alone. They were worried about me, so they came together. The staff of the game company, boss, is this how you play? What admirers? Isn't it the meaning of a bootlicker? Tangua didn't expect that the other party could come up with such an excuse. She glanced at the others and saw that they were nodding. Obviously, they agreed with Empress Zeta's statement. Since that was the case, she didn't continue to pester them. She smiled and asked the guards to let them go. Then, she arranged for someone to entertain them. The staff of the game company were now arranged to the left of Tangua. Their clothes were indeed eye-catching. Many players were curious. Who are these people? Empress Zeta's attitude towards them seemed to be good. Tangua didn't pay attention to them. She had been paying attention to some of the players who had just entered the city. She didn't see Song Lin. The Purple Tower tournament was very popular. On the 10 arenas, countless players jumped up to challenge. There were also players who were constantly defeated. There were even players who were directly killed and sent back to the beginner's village. However, under normal circumstances, if there wasn't a deep hatred, they would stop. They wouldn't make life and death enemies. In the blink of an eye, a few days had passed. The number of players who came to Purple Tower City only increased. The players all noticed a problem. After a certain time, Empress Zeta would return to the Purple Tower. She would say that she was going to rest. The next day, she would appear here again to observe all the players fighting. This gave them a very strange feeling. Were they here to play the game, or was the game playing them? The fucking game company must have thought that they were the bosses. They had never seen a game where they couldn't be the bosses even if they spent money. They even had to call the game company daddy. Tangua didn't know what these players were thinking. She had seen players who had a grudge against each other fight to the death in the arena a few times, and she had enjoyed watching them. After meeting her, the staff of the game company didn't intend to interfere. For the past few days, because of the Purple Tower tournament, the players had spent a lot of money into the game. Therefore, the game company would not make any changes for the time being. As for Song Lin, it had been almost a week since the Purple Tower Arena tournament, and he still had no intention of coming. Could it be that he had to wait until the time in his memory? Calculating the time, it didn't seem like it would be long before they met. It was Empress Zheng mentions Azel Stiki. Misty Lady and Rosa Rubro would occasionally come here to walk around and greet her. Most of the time, they would team up to kill monsters. The players who had always looked at her with uncomfortable eyes were now spilling blood in the arena. They were thinking about how to kill more players. They didn't have time to get close to her. Peek. Chapter 4272. After 10 days or so, a few outstanding players appeared in the arena. They left a deep impression on Tangua. Blue Blade, level 188 swordsman class, level 1. Based on his appearance, he looked like a swordsman. He arrived at Arena 1 4 days ago. Tangua checked the game's leaderboards. Blue Blade wasn't a player who spent a lot of money. He was just an unorthodox player who didn't spend a lot of money. Although his equipment was very good, it was all given to him by rich players when he brought people to level up. He probably hadn't spent a single cent on it. Arena 7's player was Old Apricot Rain. He was a level 165 assassin and had a feminine appearance. His weapon of choice was a folding fan. Other players' fans were either made of wood or paper. His fan was made of razor blades, and each of his attacks was deadly. He came to the 7th arena 3 days ago. Red Star Rain, level 175 Lyra, level 175 swordsman. She wore a light green dress and had a cold demeanor. She wasn't someone to be trifled with. Red Star Rain had entered the arena 2 days ago. To be able to stay in the arena for a day without being knocked off was already quite impressive. It wasn't that they didn't leave the arena all the time. The game company had set a cooldown time for players to play online. They had to consider the safety of the players. However, they weren't knocked off the arena by others. They logged off on their own accord. Every time they logged on, they would occupy the arena they were originally in. There was another player who attracted Tangwa's attention. Red Star Rain, Gongshi Smile. He hadn't logged on yet, so it would be a while before he did. Gongshi Smile's profession was unknown, and the equipment he was wearing looked very simple. However, Tangwa knew the equipment data in the game. His seemingly simple equipment wasn't something ordinary people could afford. Why was his class unknown? Because other players had fixed equipment. Many items that didn't belong to their class couldn't be used. They had to change classes or buy them with money. But this Gongshi Smile was different. He seemed to be able to use any kind of equipment. He had appeared in arena number 10 3 days ago. The time he spent in the ring was very long. Tangwa calculated that he was in the ring almost all the time except for eating and sleeping. Gongshi Smile was currently level 200 and ranked first in the game. At the same time, he was also ranked first on the Nouveau Riche list. He was a typical gamer who spent a lot of money. However, Tangwa felt that he really didn't have any skills when fighting. In other words, he was a noob. This level 200 account must have been leveled up by someone else. The reason why he could do whatever he wanted in the game was probably because his equipment was too dazzling. Tycoon Bro, Gongshi Han Xiao is here. Big Brother number 1 is here again. Every time Gongshi appeared with a smile on his face, it would cause a huge commotion. Tangwa could not help but look in the direction of Ring 10. Sure enough, a man dressed in simple clothes appeared. He stood there, and many lackeys appeared around him. This was especially true for the players in Ring number 10. They laughed happily when they saw Gongshi's smile. Boss Gongshi, you're finally here. It's not easy for me to guard this ring. Finally you're here. Gongshi Smile said, come down. Add my account. I'll send you over right away. But, Boss Gongshi, please. The summit. Chapter 4273. The burly man jumped down from the ring and quickly added Gongshi Smile as a friend. After the two confirmed, the burly man received a top-tier item and happily ran off to the side. Gongshi Smile stood on the ring and looked down at the crowd below. Come on, who are you today? Do you have 50? Boss Gongshi, don't worry. I've got 50 for you. It'll be more than enough. The one who spoke was the same burly man from before. He waved his hand and shouted, brothers, come and make some money. Boss Gongshi is here. Tangwa's lips twitched when she saw this. This Gongshi Han Xiao was really unscrupulous in order to win the first place. He even hired actors. The rules had been set long ago and were difficult to change. Gongshi Smile took advantage of this loophole. However, Gongshi Smiley was very serious when he fought. He would show off his equipment like a country bumpkin. When the first actor stepped forward, Gongshi smiled and took out a sword that glowed with a blue light and began to fight with him with very clumsy moves. Gongshi Smile wasn't sure if it was because of his acting skills or the charm of money, but he was able to defeat the first player. Next came the second player. Gongshi Smile changed his equipment and continued with his previous moves. Tangwa looked at the statistics in her hand. If Gongshi Smile killed another 50 players today, he would have killed 200 players in total. He would be the champion of the Purple Tower tournament. She looked at the other 3 players. Blue Blade was still dealing with the challengers. He didn't seem to have any objections to Gongshi Smile's actions. That year Xing Huayu glanced at Gongshi Smile and frowned slightly. Obviously, she didn't quite agree with his approach. Why can't the game company protect the fairness of the game? Hiring players like this is like not giving ordinary players a chance to win. Xing Huayu couldn't help but complain. He had already killed over 100 players. He had a good chance of winning if he kept going. Blue Blade had only killed 100 players, so he wasn't far behind. The more he thought about it, the more he couldn't accept it. He immediately sent a private message to the game company. Hellflower didn't even notice Gong Shi's smile. Every now and then, she'd steal a glance at Blue Blade. Tanghua looked at her meaningfully. Hellflower seemed to be interested in Blue Blade. Tongzi, do you know what's going on between Hellflower and Blue Blade? She was very interested in the players' stories. System. Dear host, as an NPC, you're a little gossipy. Tanghua said, as an NPC, of course I have to find some fun to enrich my life. The system sighed, what other gossip could there be? Of course it's because the red spider lily is in love with Blue Blade. Blue Blade is a block of wood. All he does is kill monsters and do quests. Oh right, great host, let me tell you a secret. If Blue Blade didn't help the boss level up his account, he would have long surpassed level 200. Tanghua thought of a possibility. Is Gongshi's smile the boss of Blue Blade? That's right. How did you guess it? You've said it yourself. The way Gongshi's smile used his equipment doesn't look like he trained himself. He must be a boss. Blue Blade must be the one training him when he's sleeping, right? Something like that, Madam Host. Among these outstanding people, is your cutie among them? It shouldn't be a problem for him to gossip a little. Chapter 4274. Do you think so? The system was speechless. Isn't this bullying me? My dear host seems to be very interested in these players. She's very happy to see them kill themselves. My energy keeps increasing, but I can't tell if it's because of that guy. System. That you're Xing Huayu, it can't be, right? Big Cutie wouldn't look at others with hatred for the rich. She even secretly reported Gongshi Smile for hiring actors. I'm not sure if it's Blue Blade. He's a very good gamer. I've looked him up before. He plays many games at the same time. He knows many bosses in each game. Those bosses like to ask him to level up their accounts. His skills are so good. It's hard to rule him out. There's also Gongshi Smile. He looks like a tycoon. After all, he's been an idiot before. It's not impossible that he's a prodigal gamer. Blue Blade has a crush on him. It's Red Spider Lily. He doesn't reject her outright. He doesn't reject her either. The system analyzed silently. So, if we exclude Blue Blade, then among the people we've met recently, only Gongshi Smile could be your big cutie. Dear host, am I right? Tanghua. Well, I don't know if you're right or not. Don't forget that this is a virtual world. I can't sense it. The system was a little dumbfounded. It thought it had guessed correctly after analyzing so much. No, dear host. Even if this is a virtual world, you need to use human spiritual energy to enter, right? How can you not sense it? They're so far away. How can I sense it? The system was silent for a moment. It glanced at the 10th ring. Sure enough, the distance between the ring and Tanghua's position was quite far. Even Gong Shi's figure was quite small. It would take a magnifying glass to see his appearance clearly. Well, it's not the host's fault. Gong Shi's Smile will get first place today. He'll be closer in a while. When the time comes, please take a closer look. If he is, then let's recruit him. Tanghua. The game company had indeed received a report from Xing Huayu that year. When they heard that Gong Shi's Smile had hired an actor to participate in the Purple Tower tournament, they all rolled their eyes. This was Gong Shihansha. So what if he hired a shill? It wouldn't affect him too much. Moreover, in this game, as long as he didn't cheat, wasn't it normal to hire a shill? After all, there were some checkpoints that couldn't be cleared on their own. They had to hire helpers. This was the difference between their games. It was somewhat similar to the real world. That year, Xing Huayu's response was that everything was within the rules of the game. The internal staff of the gaming company said in their hearts that the conference was organized by Empress Zeta, not by them. Since there were no serious bugs, the company did not intend to interfere. They just wanted to see how far Empress Zeta could go. That year Xing Huayu realized that this game was different from other games when she received the response. This game was fair and unfair at the same time. It was like a mini real world. Giving up on reporting Gongxi didn't mean that he liked Gongxi's smile. After Gongxi's smile killed 50 players and distributed the rewards to them, the first season of the Purple Tower tournament came to a successful end. None of the players left. They wanted to see what mission Empress Zeta would assign to Gongxi Smile. Gongxi Smile walked towards Tanghua. That year, Xing Huayu walked up to Tanghua first, which attracted the attention of all the players. Chapter 4275. What is he trying to do? Probably because he thinks it's unfair. Didn't you see him jump off the stage in a fit of rage? Oh, but that's Boss Gongxi. Is he crazy? Boss Gongxi likes to try new things. He can still participate in the Purple Tower tournament next time. Besides, even if Boss Gongxi didn't fight for the spot today, there are still Blue Blade, Hellflower, and Xing Huayu. Let's wait and see. This is Empress Zeta. She's different from the other NPCs. Xing Huayu might not be able to win. Tanghua noticed Xing Huayu approaching her and asked coldly, "Human, what are you doing here?" Empress Zeta, I have some questions about the Purple Tower tournament. Since the game company didn't care, he would play with this NPC. It wasn't the first or second time that players teased NPCs in the game. Some NPCs didn't have enough data, so they would freeze or spout nonsense. This was something that many players liked. This NPC was the pride of the game company. If Empress Zeta made a fool of herself today, it would be a big deal for the game company. The game company once announced that many of the designs of the game were based on the real world. The NPCs were the most intelligent, flexible, and human-like NPCs in the game. Among them, Empress Zeta was said to have been designed by the game company for years. Tanghua asked, "What do you have in mind?" Xing Huayu replied, "I don't know if Empress Zeta has noticed, but in the recent tournament, Gongxi Smile hired actors to help him kill 200 players. With his gaming skills, he wouldn't have been able to get first place if he didn't hire actors. So, I don't think it's fair. Gongxi Smile doesn't deserve to be first place." Before Gongxi Smile could say anything, the other players chimed in. If Boss Gongxi really broke the rules, the game company would have banned his account. Since they didn't ban him, it means that it's allowed. Besides, we also went up to challenge him. It's not like we cheated. We willingly admitted defeat in front of Boss Gongxi. What's wrong with that? You don't know how to talk. What do you mean by admitting defeat? We were defeated by Boss Gongxi's charisma. Some of us are just jealous of Boss Gongxi. Yes. Boss Gongxi is so powerful. We were all subdued by his charm. Just looking at him is enough to make us tremble and admit defeat. Tanghua said, "Human, did you hear that? If you can convince everyone to submit to your charm to you want to be the first place?" That year Xing Huayu was so angry that she was trembling. In any case, I refuse to accept this. Purple Tower Empress, since you set up the competition, then you should maintain the fairness of the competition. Someone kick this guy out. He's not allowed to come to Purple Tower City anymore. He's not allowed to participate in the Purple Tower tournament anymore. He's already on our blacklist. Gongxi Zeta of Zeta's eyes widened in disbelief. I hate it when people yell at me. The other players laughed when they heard this. They watched as Gongxi Zeta of Zeta was thrown out. Chapter 4276. He even cursed Purple Tower City. If this person dares to come to Purple Tower City, the guards of Purple Tower City, listen to my order. Kill him every time he comes. Hearing Empress Zeta's serious voice, many players felt that the game was very realistic. Empress Zeta was like a real person. Some players felt lucky that she was just a game character and didn't have her own consciousness. If she had a consciousness, she would know that the territory she cared about was designed by humans, and that everything she did was just a show to others. No one knew what she would think. Some players also felt that Empress Zeta was a little funny when she protected Purple Tower City. To them, this was just a game to pass time and express their desires. It was virtual. No matter how realistic it wasn't real. Tanghua didn't care what the players thought. That year Xing Huayu had been kicked out, and Gongxi came to Tangguo with a smile. He was dressed very simply and had short hair. He didn't look like an ancient person or a race with prominent facial features like the other players. Tangguo sized up Gongxi with a smile, and Gongxi with a smile sized her up too. After half a minute, Gongxi with a smile spoke first. "Empress Zeta, am I the winner?" Tangguo said, "Yes. According to the rules, the winner will be given a mission and a small reward." Gongxi's eyes were full of curiosity. "I wonder what kind of mission you will give me, and what is the small reward?" He came to this meeting purely out of curiosity. He was curious about Empress Zeta's mission and the small reward she would give him. As Gongxi finished his sentence, all the players stretched their ears to listen, afraid that they would miss a word from Empress Zeta. Tangguo held the scepter and didn't intend to get down from her throne. Her eyes fell on Gongxi's face. "Because I have to protect Purple Tower City, I haven't been to the outside world for many years. Recently, many strangers have come to Purple Tower City. It's obvious that the outside world has changed a lot." No one found this line strange at all. It was a line that NPCs would say when issuing quests. Therefore, they were even more curious about what mission Empress Zeta was going to assign to Gongxi Smile. Gongxi smiled and did not interrupt. Obviously, he was waiting for Tangguo to continue. At such a close distance, Tangguo noticed that Gongxi Smile had a lifeless aura around her. She didn't seem like the kind of player who would be particularly energetic when playing games. There was no light in his eyes, as if they were a pool of stagnant water. Perhaps he really came here to try and see what kind of mission Empress Zeta was going to give him. Anything that he hadn't seen before, anything that was new, might catch his attention for a while. At least for now, he still wanted to know what kind of mission Tangguo would give him. He didn't know what the small reward would be. Other than Purple Pagoda City, he had already owned all the equipment that could be found in other places and the equipment that could be bought in the shop. Hence, he did not care for them. Right now, I need someone to explain the outside world to me. I wonder if you would like to stay and explain it to me. Once I understand the outside world, I will give you a divine artifact as a reward. You can also use the teleportation circle in the Purple Tower to go wherever you want. All the players were stunned when they heard about this quest. Wasn't it too simple? The Summit. Chapter 4277. Talking about the outside world was enough to complete the quest? Anyone else would have been able to complete the quest. They suspected that it was the motherfucking gaming company who had secretly given Gongxi Smile a hack. How infuriating! Blue Blade spoke up. This quest isn't necessarily simple. Empress Zeta said she wanted Boss Gongxi to talk about the outside world. She didn't say how long he'd have to talk, or how much he'd have to understand. Don't you think this quest is a bit of a gangster? Isn't this game always a gangster? Hellflower stood beside Blue Blade. Empress Zeta has always been the most capricious NPC in the game. It's not surprising that she'd give out a quest like this. I just don't know if Boss Gongxi will accept this quest. Blue Blade looked at Gongxi Smile. Based on Boss Gongxi's personality, the more uncertain something is, the more interested he'll be. Hellflower couldn't help but laugh. If the Queen wants him to keep talking about what's happening outside the city, then he'll never be able to complete his mission. Blue Blade laughed. Boss Gongxi won't be angry. He'll probably think it's interesting. Things that money can't buy should be more interesting to him. I wonder when the next Purple Tower tournament will be. Hellflower sighed. Are you going to participate next time? Blue Blade nodded. If the boss isn't looking for me, I should be. After all, Purple Tower is the only place I'm missing. I heard from the insiders that Empress Zeta has something to do with the new map. If we want to explore it first, we'll have to pass Empress Zeta's test. If we get her approval, we'll have priority when the game company comes up with a new map. No wonder the game company organized the Purple Tower tournament. It's to encourage players to come to Purple Tower and prepare for the new map. At this time, Gongxi's smiling voice drew the two's attention. I'm very interested in this quest. Gongxi smiled. I'd be happy to explain the outside world to Empress Zeta. In all honesty, this quest was a surprise to him. It should be said that among the 4 missions issued by Empress Zeta so far, including his 3 of them were very interesting. The most common mission was to deliver a letter. The most interesting ones were Misty Lady's mission to praise Empress Zeta, Little Loli's 5 years of college entrance exams and 3 years of mock math questions, and his mission was to tell her about the outside world. The official setting for Empress Zeta was that she had to protect Purple Tower City, so she could not go out. However, these players knew that it wasn't that Empress Zeta couldn't leave Purple Tower City. It was just that once she left Purple Tower City, her strength would drop to that of a normal player. Previously, countless players had tried to lure Empress Zeta out. However, it was not easy to lure an NPC out. Even now, no one had succeeded. Right now, many players wanted to obtain the quests given by Empress Zeta. Many of them were wondering what kind of reward they would get if they killed Empress Zeta. Tangwa took out a token. This is the reward for the first place in the first season of the Purple Tower Tournament. Gongshi smiled as he took the token. Looking at the words on it, he read it aloud. Passage token. Needless to say, with this token, he would be able to do whatever he wanted in Purple Tower City. He would not be attacked by the guards and beasts. The Summit. Chapter 4278. Mr. Gongshi, come with me. Tell me what's changed in the outside world these past few years. Gongshi nodded with a smile and followed Tangwa into the Purple Pagoda. The players looked on eagerly. One of the bolder ones shouted, Empress Zeta, when is the next Purple Tower tournament? Tangwa looked back. In a few days. Hearing this, the players were relieved. Blue Blade and Hellflower looked at each other. The rumor was true. It was likely the game company was preparing for a new map. After all, it couldn't be that there wasn't a single player in it, right? The new map would have to be tested with at least 100 players. That was an understatement. Who knew if the game company would draw a random number of players? Thousands of players would be the norm. With the Purple Tower closed, the players had no choice but to leave. Some players chose to save and log off. Although this was an online game, it was possible to save your location. The next time you logged in, you'd be right back where you were. If you didn't save and log off, you'd be back in the beginner's village the next time you logged in. Some players bought real estate in the game, registered their accounts, logged off, and logged back in. They'd be back in their own homes. After getting married to an NPC in the game, they would not log off on the spot. The next time they logged on, they would appear in the NPC's house. Breaking into Purple Tower City wasn't easy. Many players wanted to be there the next day. However, even more players left Purple Tower City to hunt monsters and complete quests. After all, they still needed to level up. They'd return when the second Purple Tower tournament began. Now that the Purple Tower was closed, there was no way to see Empress Zeta. At this moment, Tangwa is sitting on her throne. Sitting next to her is Gongshi Han Xiao. Gongshi smiled. Empress Zeta, what do you want to know about the outside world? Tangwa nodded. I want to know everything. You can tell me one by one. Gongshi nodded. He understood that Empress Zeta didn't know much about the outside world, but she did know some of the characters in the game. That was why she'd issued the quest to deliver a letter. That NPC seemed to be the Half-Moon Princess. The outside world is very big. Gongshi said with a smile. He was not going to talk about the game world, but the real world. Although this was an NPC with no self-awareness, he was still happy to tell a good story. The outside world is very big, but it is not as luxurious as Purple Pagoda City, nor is it as beautiful and luxurious as the Purple Pagoda that you live in. This was a virtual world, so the game company tried their best to put the best things here to highlight Empress Zeta's nobility. There are many beautiful gems here. They are all very big and have no flaws. There are also gems in the outside world, but most of them are very small and have many flaws. Speaking of which, the wealth outside can't compare to yours, Empress Zeta. System. Dear host, this person isn't telling you a good story. Instead, he's telling you about the outside world. You must not allow him to complete the mission so easily. Now, he was just a snitch. Mr. Gongshi, say something positive. Is the outside world really that bad? Not even a single flawless gem? Tangwa's face was filled with shock. As an NPC, She should be more dedicated to her job, maintaining her character at all times. Currently, there was no OOC. Chapter 4279. Seeing Tangwa's shocked expression, Gong she couldn't help but feel that this game was really good. Although the equipment was expensive, as long as you were willing to spend some time, it was still very fun. Just look at how realistic the expressions of these characters were. Of course, there are many good things in the outside world. Empress Zeta, do you know what fragrance is? Yes, Tangwa replied. Of course, she should know what fragrance was. Gong she obviously understood this. He asked again, have you smelled flowers before? As he spoke, he stood up and walked to the vase next to him. He took out a flower from it, walked in front of Tangwa, and put the flower to the tip of her nose. Can you smell the fragrance of the flower? Tangwa sniffed and shook her head. No, I can't. This is the difference between the Purple Tower City and the outside world. Gong she smiled and asked again, Empress Zeta, do you usually eat food? While speaking, Gong she walked to a small table with a smile and picked up an apple from it. So, this game company really had a conscience. All the scenes and items in the Purple Pagoda could be moved. This game had a bright future. Tangwa stared at the apple that Gong she handed to her with a smile. Empress Zeta, do you usually eat this? No. Do you eat 3 meals a day? No need. From the data she collected, there were some humans who needed 3 meals a day. As an NPC, she didn't have her own consciousness, so she didn't find this strange. If people in the outside world don't eat, drink, and breathe oxygen, they will die. Looking at Tangwa's confused face, Gong she smiled and wondered if there was something wrong with him to say this to an NPC. NPCs didn't have their own consciousness. She was confused because she had collected enough data for her own use. Why don't I need to eat and drink? Gong shi Hanshao wasn't surprised by Tangwa's question. This was a very normal thing because the message the big data gave her was that if she didn't understand something, she should ask why. Why was he suddenly interested in such a boring mission? However, he really wanted to share the outside world with this NPC. It didn't matter if he didn't understand. Because you're different. How is it different? Gong shi smiled and remained silent for a moment. He suddenly felt that he did not know how to explain. Just say it directly? That would be meaningless. He didn't like to do such a thing, to find a sense of existence on an NPC. Because you're a fairy. You don't have to eat or drink, and you can still live forever. The people outside are all mortals, and they will grow old and die. They will also die if they don't eat or drink. They will feel pain when they are injured, and they will cry when they are sad. System, it's hard, but don't say it's awesome. Tangwa held back her laughter and asked in confusion, am I a fairy? Yes, Empress Zeta is a fairy. You should know about fairies, right? I know. Tangwa pretended to ponder. I didn't know that I had such an identity. Mr. Gong shi is so knowledgeable. He has solved many of my problems. Every time someone broke into the Purple Tower City, he would cry out in pain and have to take pills to replenish his energy. But the guards of the Purple Tower don't need to do that. Because those guards are the guards of fairies, and the guards of fairies are celestial soldiers and celestial generals. As long as the fairies are here, they will never disappear. Chapter 4280. Tangwa felt that Gong shi Smiley might have forgotten the reason why he was called in. Therefore, she had to remind him. Mr. Gong shi, can you tell me more about the outside world? Gong shi Smile suddenly realized that Empress Zeta was not as cold and unreasonable as she appeared to be. Instead, she was very innocent. Well, she was an NPC created by humans. Apart from completing the missions given to her by humans, she was very innocent. Okay, then I'll tell you about the outside world. Gong shi Smile told her about how humans spent their days in the outside world. He also talked about all kinds of fun and delicious food, as well as things that could not be found in the Purple Tower City. Of course, it was impossible for him to finish talking in just one day. 5 days later, the second season of the Purple Tower tournament began. The rules were still the same, and Tangwa did not add any new rules. Xiao Tongzi revealed to her that the game company was planning to update the map, and some of the people who had priority in exploring the new map would be from her. Now, it was not a problem to let more players pass. Unlike the first season, this time, Gong Shi Smile was sitting on the left side of Tangwa's throne. He was very close to Tangwa and seemed to be chatting with her. The players were used to it, and Gong Shi Smile accepted the mission of telling Empress Zita about the outside world. Gong Shi is now sharing with Tangwa some of his experiences during his travels, as well as some of the things he encountered in his life. After interacting with him, she realized that Gong Shi Smile had so much to say that he could talk for a whole day. Apart from going offline to rest every day, he would come online to tell Tangwa about the outside world. The second season of the Purple Tower tournament was carried out enthusiastically by the players, and Tangwa was no longer interested in it. However, after Song Lin appeared, part of her attention was diverted away. Gong Shi Smile noticed that, and his eyes fell on Song Lin in the first arena. Song Lin was dressed in white, and he looked like an elegant prince in ancient times. His face was indeed handsome. Gong Shi Smile looked back at Tangwa, and saw that she was staring at Song Lin, but he did not know what she was thinking. Empress Zita knows the man in Ring 1? Gong Shi asked with a smile. He felt that the man was a bit pretentious, acting as if he was the most handsome man in the world. Especially below the stage, many female players were looking at young Master Song with infatuation. They were even screaming as if they were chasing after a celebrity. It was so noisy. I don't know him, but he seems to be very popular. Tangwa retracted her gaze. He seems to be quite strong. He might be the champion of this season. Is that so? Gong Shi smiled and glanced at the 10 rings one by one. He frowned slightly. Where did Blue Blade go? Is this guy not coming? With that guy around, wouldn't it be easy to get first place? Blue Blade wasn't here, and neither was Permetha Flower. That annoying Nian Xinghua Yu from last time. No, that person had already been blacklisted by the Purple Tower Empress and couldn't enter. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to compete with young Master Song. Gong Shi smiled as he sent a private message to Blue Blade. Gong Shi Han Xiao, where is it? Blue Blade, Boss Gong Shi? I'm fighting mobs. Boss Gong Shi, do you want to level up your account? Gong Shi Han Xiao, not yet. Don't fight mobs. The second season of the Purple Tower tournament is about to begin. Don't you want to get first place? Blue Blade, I've accepted a solo account. I want to level up for the boss as soon as possible. Let's participate in the third season. Gong Shi Han Xiao, 5 times the price. Come and get first place. Give the solo account to your teammates. Is that okay? Blue Blade, boss, you're so generous. I'll be right there. Wait for me. What's the situation now? Gong Shi Han Xiao, there's a bunch of counterfeiters today. I've killed 20 of them so far. Don't underestimate them. Peek. Chapter 4281. Gong Shi Han Xiao, oh right, where's Hellflower? Is she with you? Blue Sword, she's here. She's with me. Gong Shi Han Xiao knew this was the case. Hellflower wasn't short on money. She must be after Blue Sword. Gong Shi Han Xiao, tell her to come back next time. Don't waste time. You know that Empress Zita's quest gives you a chance to experience new maps, right? Blue Sword, so that's true. All right, I'll talk to her and ask her to get a list number. Don't come to the competition this time. Not long after, Blue Sword and Hellflower appeared in Purple Pagoda City's arena. Gong Shi Han Xiao wasn't surprised to see both of them. Hellflower couldn't be wrong. Even if she could only watch, she had to watch Blue Sword. Of course, Blue Blade chose stage 1. When he saw that the person on stage 1 was young Master Song, his expression did not change. Judging from Boss Gongshi's tone, he didn't seem to like young Master Song very much. If that was the case and he was going to take first place, he might as well kick young Master Song out of the arena. Song Lin was a blade master. He was currently level 280 and ranked in the top 10. He was considered one of the game's top players. He was skilled and had a lot of money to spend. He had a guild of his own. Today, he was participating in the Purple Pagoda tournament. Everyone was there to cheer for him. Song Lin's wife, the half-moon princess, didn't come. She was an NPC and had to guard her own half-moon lake. Normally, NPCs couldn't leave their posts unless the half-moon princess had awakened her own consciousness. In fact, after marrying Song Lin, the half-moon princess consciousness had slowly begun to awaken. It was just that it wasn't clear yet. What was clear was that Song Lin divorced her and married Empress Zeta. In the original storyline, this was how the half-moon princess awakened her own consciousness. After Song Lin killed Empress Zeta and returned to the half-moon princess side, he discovered that she was different. He became more and more interested in her, and they really stayed together. Regarding the matter with Empress Zeta, Song Lin had lied to the half-moon princess that it was Empress Zeta who had forced him. It was just a random excuse, but this NPC actually believed it. Later on, the two of them really got together and liked each other. Of course, Song Lin couldn't tell the truth. The truth was hidden just like that. As soon as Blue Blade went on stage, Song Lin felt a little uneasy. Blue Blade was famous for his gaming skills, and he was the kind that didn't spend money. Song Lin felt that he wasn't a simple person. As expected, Song Lin's gaming skills were not bad, but he could not compare to Blue Blade. Although Blue Blade didn't spend money, he knew a lot of bosses. His equipment wasn't any worse than Song Lin's. The two of them fought for about 10 minutes before Blue Sword defeated young Master Song and took over the first arena. Song Lin didn't want to bicker with Blue Blade, mainly because he couldn't win. He switched to the second arena. Blue Blade was clearly aiming for first place. He didn't want to waste time on revenge, so he wanted to kill more players first. Gongshi smiled and said to Tanghua, "Empress Zeta, the person from before didn't seem to be this strong." Tanghua glanced at Blue Blade, who was killing everyone, and agreed, "That's true." He had a higher chance of winning the second season of the Purple Tower Economic Conference. "I'm familiar with this person. He also participated in the first season, right? I didn't expect you to remember him so clearly." "Yes, he also participated." The summit. Chapter 4282. Tanghua stopped paying attention to the fight in the ring, and Gongxi's smile continued to tell her about the outside world. She listened with great interest, and from time to time, she would express all kinds of doubts, exclamations, and curiosity, just like a real person. Every time, Gongxi's smile would shake his head and smile faintly. How could it be? If a game character had developed self-awareness, then there would be countless virtual characters in the world, and the world would face another kind of crisis. He liked to talk to Tanghua about the outside world, especially the kind that he had seen, played, and visited. After talking so much, Tanghua realized that Gongxi's smile had basically told her about the structure of the outside world, but he did not mention anything about the human medical team. Since he did not mention it, she had to ask, when people are injured in the outside world, do they recover instantly by taking medicine, just like in the ring? After Tanghua asked, Gongxi's smile became silent. He did not answer her question immediately like before, and the smile on his face disappeared. After a few minutes, Gongxi's smile came back to his senses. Seeing Tanghua's curious eyes, he smiled and said, "No." "What do you mean?" Gongxi explained with a smile, when people in the outside world are injured or sick, they don't recover immediately by taking medicine. "Mr. Gongxi, do you mean that people in the outside world don't take medicine?" Gongxi's smile shook his head. Because of this sentence, he felt much more relaxed. This was indeed a virtual world. Previously, he had thought that if virtual characters had self-awareness, it might bring about earth-shattering changes to the world, or even a crisis, which was a bit funny. This game had only been around for less than a year, and human technology had not yet developed to the point where virtual characters could develop self-awareness. "Mr. Gongxi?" Gongxi's smile answered, "People in the outside world need to take medicine. If they are sick or injured, they need to take medicine. If they don't take medicine, they will die. The medicine will not take effect immediately. It will take some time, and for some diseases, it will take a long time. It may take a week, a month, a few years, or even a lifetime. If people in the outside world have problems with their bodies, they may never recover. For example, if you're missing a hand or a leg, It's really gone. It won't recover unless you install a prosthetic limb. So, the people outside will die. Their bodies will die and their souls will be extinguished. Die. You should know the meaning of death. It means to disappear forever. The body will either be cremated or rotted away, eventually turning into dust. That's a little different from my purple pagoda city. Tangwa seemed to be deep in thought. Gongshi smiled and felt much better. He continued, "Of course it's different. The people outside are mortals, while you're a fairy." Gongshi's laughter wasn't soft, and he didn't mean to hide it from the other players. Some of the players nearby were shocked that Gongshi's smile was talking to Empress Zeta about the real world. They didn't know if they should laugh at Gongshi Smile's behavior. Did he treat Empress Zeta as a real person? His behavior was a little childish. But then they thought of other players. Didn't they also treat the NPCs here as real people? They even married them, opened their senses to the maximum, and did some indescribable things? If that was the case, Gongshi Smile's behavior was reasonable. Chapter 4283. Before she knew it, the second Purple Pagoda tournament was over. It had only been a few days. This time, the person who won first place was, as expected, Blue Sword. When Blue Blade came to see Tangwa, she gave him a small gift. She didn't know if it was because the gaming company saw the benefits of the Purple Pagoda tournament, but they had stocked her storage with gifts of all sorts. Since she had it, she was going to use it. She felt that the company was very tactful. If things continued like this, she didn't mind helping them make more money. As long as she could happily play the game, she was happy. "What did you get, Blue Blade?" Hellflower asked. Blue Blade looked at the item in his hand. It was blue. A heart's knot. A heart's knot? What's it for? Blue Blade looked at the description of the heart's knot. He was speechless. It's for finding a partner in the game. If the partner has a red heart's knot, then the two of them will be eternally united. If you use a heart's knot to get married, you can't get divorced. Unless you commit suicide. Committing suicide was equivalent to wasting all their efforts. What kind of hatred was that? When Hellflower heard this, she couldn't help but glance over at Tangwa. "Blue Blade, Boss Gong, she told me to take first place in the third Purple Pagoda tournament. Is that right?" "That's right. He doesn't seem to like young Master Song very much. I don't know if he did something to upset him." Hellflower was surprised. "Boss Gong, she is so friendly. I've never heard of him bullying Ping Ming just because he's a pay-to-win player. It has to be young Master Song." "I think so too. You have to take first place in the next Purple Pagoda tournament. I'll talk to my brothers and have them participate in the next Purple Pagoda tournament. We won't be able to stop young Master Song completely, but at least we'll be able to delay Empress Zeta's quest." Blue Blade left Purple Pagoda City as soon as he received the quest from Tangwa. The third season of the Purple Tower tournament started seamlessly, and the players were overjoyed. Many of them had heard that Empress Zeta was the key to getting the priority to experience the new map. Now, who wouldn't want to get it? They didn't even want to fight monsters for the time being. In the third season of the Purple Tower tournament, Hellflower managed to kill 200 players before Song Lin and won first place. The small reward Tangwa had given her was a red concentric knot. At that time, she saw a shy smile on Hellflower's cold face. She looked at Tangwa with incomparable kindness. Hellflower even felt that the players who'd spoken of the Queen's strange temperament in the past were mostly those who'd failed to gain her approval. They'd been humiliated into anger and slandered. After she came to Purple Pagoda City, Empress Zeta really didn't tease people casually. She even sent her a red concentric knot. It was impossible to find another NPC who was as perfect as the Purple Tower Empress. Now that she had the concentric knot, how could she coax Blue Blade into marrying her? "Don't you like the little gift I gave you?" Tangwa didn't mean it that way. She just wanted to be the matchmaker. Blue Blade and Hellflower were a block of wood, and she was shy. How long would it take for them to be together? The weather was cold. As an NPC, she wanted to drink some wedding wine to warm herself up. Chapter 4284. Hellflower shook her head. It wasn't hard to see the embarrassment on her face. No, I really like Empress Zeta's gift. It's my favorite. Looking at you, you must have someone you like. Hellflower's face reddened. This was one of the cool things about the game. It could detect the reaction of the human body at any given moment and display the emotions that the player was supposed to have. Should I give you another concentric knot? Tangua asked. Hellflower shook her head. No need, he already has one. Tangua pretended to be confused. I've only given two. Is that Blue Blade? Hellflower clutched her violin and didn't know where to stand. Had the game company secretly given Empress Zeta another attribute? Why was she so concerned about her marriage? So it's true. Since you two are so fated to receive a union knot, it must be your destiny. If you don't get married now, I'll be letting you down. Using a union knot to get married will trigger a hidden skill. It'll also give both husband and wife bonuses. When you fight together, it'll increase your attributes and skills. Oh, and when you use a union knot, it'll trigger a beautiful special effect. I don't have many of these. Hellflower didn't know what to say when she saw the two of them looking like they'd taken advantage of her. When had Empress Zeta triggered her matchmaker attribute? But Empress Zeta wasn't wrong. They'd both received a union knot. Was this fate? Perhaps she really should go find Blue Blade. Gong, she smiled. Empress Zeta was like a real person. But when Tangua assigned a mission to Hellflower, he came back to his senses. Tangua began to hand out missions. I have an old friend. Her name is Mai. She lives far away in the Bayman Desert. She's the saint there. I want to know how she is right now. Because I have to guard Purple Pagoda City, I can't go and see her. So I hope you can help me bring a gift and a letter to Bayman Desert to find the whereabouts of Saintess Bajan. Bayman Desert? Hellflower memorized the name of the map. It wasn't an unfamiliar name. Anyone who had played the game for a while would know where the Bayman Desert was. This was one of the top 10 danger zones in the game. There were countless dangers, but at the same time, there were also many opportunities. In the Bayman Desert, not only were there powerful NPCs, there were also ferocious monsters. Many players went to the Bayman Desert to complete quests, but after countless attempts, they would always be killed by the monsters and sent back to the beginner village. It was very rare to see the highest level NPC in the Bayman Desert, Saintess Mai. However, she remembered that Blue Blade had also been sent to the Bayman Desert. Hellflower voiced her doubts. Empress Zeta, I recall that someone has already brought your gift to the Bayman Desert in search of the Saintess. As you know, the Bayman Desert is very dangerous. I want to send a few more people with decent strength over there. Hopefully, we can find the whereabouts of Canine Fern soon. In the entire game, not many players had seen Saintess Boa before. The main reason was that the game was more flexible. There were some NPC quests that didn't matter if they completed them or not. Blue Blade had been to the Bayman Desert and had seen her before. However, this was when the game had just started. At that time, Blue Blade had brought boss Gongxi along. The Summit. Chapter 4285. Afterwards, Bayman Desert's difficulty was increased by the game company. Although there were still teams that could enter, normal players weren't keen on it. Only the top players liked these kinds of risky missions. The most disgusting thing about the game company was that when the number of people completing a mission increased, they would increase the difficulty of the game. Many of the monsters would also be updated. Basically, every time they entered, it would be different from the previous one. It was purely to disgust the players. However, this was also the most attractive part of the game. No matter how long they played, it would always give them a fresh feeling. So it's like this. I'm very happy to do this for Empress Zeta. Hellflower was naturally happy to be able to go with Blue Blade. Blue Blade had been doing this mission every day. It was mostly because Bayman Desert's difficulty had increased that he hadn't completed it yet. She could use a teleportation token to teleport to Blue Blade's side and complete the mission with him. Tangua gave the mission to Hellflower, along with a gift and a letter. If you can marry Blue Blade, the Heart's Union knot will take effect. When the time comes, your journey through the Bayman Desert will be much smoother. She didn't give the Heart's Union knot for no reason. She wanted the two of them to use it to increase their strength and help her contact the desert saintess. Why did she need to contact her? Because she would awaken her own consciousness later on. Of course, this was still related to Song Lin. She was even more rebellious than the original owner. Although she was called the desert saintess, she was actually a little witch. After awakening her consciousness, she discovered that Song Lin only liked the half-moon princess. She did many things that made her feel good. It was also because of her that Song Lin and the half-moon princess's relationship became better and better. Song Lin didn't know that he was a scumbag. In the end, he chose a very gullible and obedient half-moon princess. This was because the original design of the game was that Empress Zeta had a strange temperament. She was not to be trifled with. She was vicious, cold, shrewish, and did not care about others' feelings. The half-moon princess was close to human players. She was kind, friendly, and gentle. Even after they had awakened their consciousness, these settings that were innate to the gods would still accompany them and would not be easily changed. Kanna's final outcome was the same as Empress Zeta's. Because their existence had already endangered humanity, the final solution was to eliminate them. In the end, Song Lin still felt uneasy and thought of a way to bring Half-Moon Princess Data out and implant her consciousness into a man-made robot. Then, he joined forces with others to destroy the game company. Naturally, the game that caused a sensation was gone. Before Song Lin deceived Kanna, Tangwa decided to seduce this little witch first. When the time came, she would guide her on what to do in the game to avoid causing panic among the humans. She had already fallen in love with the life of playing games with human players every day. System, isn't this the life of a gamer? Hellflower and Blue Blade's quests surprised many players. The Bayman Desert was one of the most dangerous places in the game. If you weren't careful, you'd be killed by monsters and sent back to Beginner's Village. Gong Shi's curiosity was piqued. Is Empress Zeta still acquainted with Kanna? He didn't think it was strange. After all, the game company had to have some private settings for players to discover. It was a long time ago. I don't know how she's doing now. Gong Shi smiled. A long time ago, I met Canis Fern. Oh, how is she? She's doing well. The smile on Gong Shi's face disappeared. Blue Blade had led him all the way there and finally met the Saintess, Celestial Fern. However, that NPC's temper was even stranger than the Purple Tower Empress. She had one trick after another to mess with the players. When he was completing the quest in that map, he felt that the game company was not friendly at all. Fortunately, he'd spent a lot of money and was able to clear the quest. Otherwise, even with Blue Blade leading the way, he wouldn't have been able to clear it in 10 days. As for Hellflower, she'd already contacted Blue Blade. Blue Blade agreed to teleport her to his side and the two of them cleared the dungeon together. With the two of them working together, killing monsters became much easier. When they stopped to replenish their supplies, Hellflower told Blue Blade about the Heart's Knot. Blue Blade didn't react in the slightest. So the Heart's Knot can be used like that. I was wondering why Empress Zeta gave me something so useless. Hellflower was speechless. Let's wait and see. Since we both have the Heart's Knot, we can use it when the monsters get stronger. I wonder how much damage it'll give us. It'll be a wonder if it'll be easier to kill monsters. Hellflower was speechless when she heard Blue Blade's obsession with damage. The Apex. Chapter 4286. 2 days later, Hellflower and Blue Blade encountered a powerful road-blocking monster. They decided to use the Heart's Knot to get married. One was curious as to how much attack power the knot would increase, and what stats it would increase. The other was speechless but also expectant. When they clicked on the marriage system and activated the knot, their clothes changed into wedding attire. Cherry blossom petals fell from the sky. When Hellflower saw the special effects, she couldn't help but think that Empress Zeta hadn't lied to her. The Heart's Knot special effects were truly impressive. At the same time, the news of their marriage appeared in the World Channel. Many people were stunned. Blue Blade and Hellflower were the bosses of this game. Rumor had it that Hellflower was interested in Blue Blade. But Blue Blade didn't seem to be interested. So why were they getting married? The World Channel was filled with all sorts of discussion. How did the two suddenly get married? Why was there a world announcement? So far, the marketplace didn't have any tools that could make news of a marriage appear in the World Channel. Someone quickly explained how the two had obtained the heart's knot. Many players were interested in the knot and left messages asking for more. But this was a story for another time. Back on the other side, Blue Blade was still immersed in how much attack power it gave him. He didn't have any idea what the knot would do. Hellflower probably knew his personality and didn't warn him. They were already married anyway, so other female players wouldn't have a chance to get close to Blue Blade. The two continued to fight their way through the game. Aside from having to eat and rest, they spent the rest of their time in the game. After relentless effort, they found Celestial Maiden by the evening of the second day. Tomb Raider Celestial Maiden was still an NPC without a mind of her own. According to the game company's rules, she was a hindrance to the players. However, the two of them were the game's top players. They spoke first, explaining that they had been sent by Empress Zeta to deliver gifts and letters. They expressed how much Empress Zeta missed her. Sure enough, when Celestial Maiden heard that Empress Zeta missed her, she was busy searching for information on Empress Zeta. She didn't have time to bother the two. The two of them handed the gifts and letters to Celestial Maiden. After she finished reading, she fell silent. The gifts in the two small boxes were all gems, which were a specialty of the Purple Pagoda City. They could be considered a local specialty, and Kana Fern quite liked them. Tangua's letter was very simple. It mainly expressed her concern and asked if she was doing well. She also mentioned in the letter that she had to stay in Purple Pagoda City and couldn't leave as she wished like when she was young to meet her and play with her freely. Kana knew Empress Zeta, but she didn't know that they were friends. As an NPC, she quickly analyzed the data and realized that she might have lost her memory. She looked at Blue Blade and Hellflower. Since you were sent by the Empress, I won't make things difficult for you. Go back and tell Empress Zeta that I'm fine. After so many years, I'm glad that she still remembers me. If I have the chance, I will go to Purple Pagoda City to visit her. Unlike other NPCs, Canopy Fern was a relatively freer NPC. She was not allowed to wander around as she pleased. Since there was no setting, it meant that she could walk around freely. Chapter 4287. As the saint of the Bayman Desert, she had her own pride and schemes. She wouldn't allow these two outsiders to know she'd lost her memories. The Purple Tower Empress was actually her childhood friend. She had no recollection of this matter at all. So, what exactly did she experience that made her forget this part of her memory? Wu Zun decided that he had to retrieve this memory. Empress Zeta was the one who'd sent her greetings. She had to see her. Soon Hellflower and Blue Blade returned to Zeta City, carrying gifts and letters from Celestial Fern. Returning to the game was much faster. All they had to do was not save the game on the spot. They could just go offline and come back online later. They reappeared in a mansion that the Red Spider Lilies had purchased after they had established a business. Blue Blade was confused. How did I get here? Hellflower maintained her cool demeanor. Her voice was soft as she spoke. We used a concentric knot to get married. Did you not see the changes after we were married? Blue Blade answered honestly. He immediately went to look. When he finished, his expression was one of understanding. Hellflower wanted nothing more than to smack him in the head. So when you get married, you'll appear in your partner's house. Blue Blade repeated. This house isn't cheap, is it? I hear you can buy a house in a bustling area in the game and you can afford a down payment outside. Blue Blade was used to seeing rich people and wasn't surprised. What he didn't expect was that Red Spider Lily, who often worked with the bosses in other games, was also a hidden tycoon. Hellflower felt powerless. Perhaps this was a gaming god. She liked the marriage system, but Blue Blade treated it like a game. He had no other intentions. Everyone reads her eyes dimmed, but she didn't bring up the matter again. She changed the subject. Let's go to Zeta City. When the two arrived at Purple Pagoda City, Tangua was still sitting on the high throne. Gongshi Smiley was sitting on her left side. Most likely, she was listening to Gongshi Smiley telling her about the outside world. Tangwa smiled when she received Celestial Fern's gift and letter. You two are true warriors. I didn't expect you to find Celestial Fern in the Bayman Desert. I'm relieved to know that Kanzun is fine. After that, Tangwa gave them divine artifacts. The game company had recently updated her data package, and there were many different types of divine artifacts. The two of them had obtained the divine artifact and the right to use the Purple Tower's teleportation array. The two of them couldn't wait to use the teleportation array. The Purple Tower tournament was still going on. In the 5th season of the Purple Tower tournament, Song Lin still won first place. He came to Tangwa to receive his reward. The moment he saw Tangwa up close, Song Lin had an idea. He wondered if players could get Empress Zeta and get married. In this game, there were very few NPCs who hadn't been conquered by the players. Empress Zeta was one of them. He thought that there should be a lot of players who had the same idea as him. Gong Shi's smiling eyes fell on Song Lin. He had always found this young master of the Song family an eyesore, and he felt uncomfortable with him. Now that Song Lin had won first place, there was nothing he could do. He shifted his gaze to Tangwa's face. He wanted to know what small gift she would give Song Lin and what mission she would give him. Song Lin greeted her politely. Beautiful Empress Zeta, what can I do for you? The Summit. Chapter 4288. Tangwa was still thinking about what kind of gift to give Song Lin. The items in the data pack were all pretty good, and they were all relatively rare. She felt that it would be a waste to give them to Song Lin. She suddenly remembered the apple that Gongshi Smile had mentioned last time. So, she moved her consciousness and took out an apple from the Purple Tower. It was a bright red apple. It looked pretty, but it was actually useless. Congratulations on winning first place in the tournament. This is a small reward for you. Tangwa handed the bright red apple to the waiter, who then handed it to Song Lin. Song Lin held it in his hands as if it was a treasure. The apple was pretty, but he didn't know what it was used for. Seeing that he was confused, Tangwa began to make up a story. This is a God-given apple that has been stored in the Purple Tower for many years. I still haven't figured out how it works, but I think it must be useful since it's a God-given apple. It's just that I haven't met the right person yet. When I saw you today, I thought of something. You should be that fated person. The right person. I hope you can figure out how the God-given apple works as soon as possible. The eyes of the onlookers lit up. It was indeed an extraordinary item. They were wondering how Empress Zeta's gift could be ordinary. It turned out to be a God-given apple. Even the Purple Tower Empress herself did not understand the mysteries behind it. It must be very awesome. This Song clan's young master's luck was too good. They had heard that he was a European king, and now they had seen it for themselves. I will figure out how it works as soon as possible. I won't let Empress Zeta down. Song Lin carefully put the apple into his backpack. Gong Shi Smiley couldn't help but blink and blink again. He blinked several times at once. If he remembered correctly, wasn't this the apple in the Purple Pagoda Queen's plate of fruits in the Purple Pagoda? The end. How could she be so serious? Even he almost thought that this was a God-given apple. What was so special about it? Empress Zeta was still the same person. She never forgot to cause trouble for the players. But now, compared to the personality that he had shown in front of others before, there was a hidden evil in him. The game company was quite successful in this aspect. No matter what, Song Lin had obtained a useless apple. He was in a good mood. Tangwa was about to assign a mission to Song Lin. I haven't left Purple Tower City for a long time, because guarding Purple Tower City is my mission, so I can't go out. When the players heard this, they knew that Song Lin wanted to accept the mission. Although Empress Zeta's mission was strange, it wasn't impossible to complete. It was just that it would take a lot of effort to complete it. Song Lin was also looking forward to it. He wondered what kind of mission Empress Zeta would assign him. Recently, I've heard a lot about the outside world from Mr. Gongshi. I'm looking forward to it, but I can't let go of my responsibilities and go out to see it. Tangwa continued, on the first day, Mr. Gongshi told me about flowers. There are very few flowers in Zeta City, so I wanted to see what the flowers in the outside world look like. Song Lin had an idea. His mission wouldn't be to pick flowers. right? I hope you can help me pick some flowers from the outside world. I want to see how beautiful they are. Mr. Gong, she said that there are thousands of flowers in the outside world, and each has its own beauty. There are thousands of colors that compete with each other. Can you help me pick 10,000 flowers? I want to see them. Chapter 4289. At first, the players thought that it was just picking flowers. This game was amazing. The plants, flowers, and trees could be picked and chopped, just like the real world. But they didn't expect Empress Zeta's mission to ask young Master Song to pick 10,000 types of flowers. I know this mission is very complicated and will take a lot of time. I might even need to go to some dangerous places. Are you willing to pick 10,000 types of flowers yourself? After you complete the mission, I will reward you handsomely and allow you to use the Purple Tower's teleportation portal to go anywhere you want. Song Lin wouldn't give up on the mission he had been waiting for. Although it was troublesome, it wasn't impossible. Of course I'm willing to pick 10,000 types of flowers for Empress Zeta. 10,000 types of flowers would take a long time even if he called the guild members. But since the mission was given, he had to complete it. Boss, this mission is too difficult. There are so many maps in the game and so many types of flowers. It's easy to pick 10,000 types of flowers, but difficult to pick 10,000 types of flowers. Release the mission and ask people to help you pick one type of 100 game coins. There's strength in numbers, Song Lin said. 100 game coins was equivalent to $10 in the real world. It was a good price. For many people, it was just a matter of convenience. Okay, I'll give it a try. But after they released the mission, very few people accepted it. When Song Lin found out, he went to check the situation and found out that Gongshi Smile had released a mission before him. World Channel. Gongshi Smile. Today, I heard that Empress Zeta released a mission to pick 10,000 types of flowers. I'm suddenly very curious. Is it interesting to pick 10,000 types of flowers in the game and put them together? I released a new mission to pick flowers. 1,000 game coins for one type of flower. Each type is limited to more than 20 flowers. First come, first serve. The World Channel was very lively now. Everyone was talking about it. Gongshi Smile was indeed a tycoon. He just wanted to see the flowers in the game and threw in a few million. Did he not care about money at all? With Gongshi Smile in the lead, 1,000 game coins for one type of flower meant $100 for one type of flower. It was much more generous than Song Lin's mission. They felt that Song Lin wasn't short of money, but he still couldn't compare to Gongshi Smile. With a comparison, not many people were willing to accept Song Lin's mission. 10 yuan for one kind of flower. It was a loss just thinking about it. Since he was going to pick flowers anyway, why not accept Gongshi's Smile quest? One of them was 100 yuan. That was the only way to make a profit. However, there were also some players who wanted to trade for money. They planned to pick the leftovers that weren't in good condition and sell them to Song Lin for money. Song Lin didn't feel good. He didn't offend Gongshi Han Xiao, did he? But then again, Gongshi Smile was a curious person. Perhaps it was really because Empress Zeta mentioned it. Almost every player in every corner was looking around to see if there were any pretty flowers. In just 3 days, Gongshi Smile had collected 10,000 types of flowers. This was all thanks to the efforts of all the players. Of course, he had also thrown in a few million. After he got the flowers, he went to see Tanghua. He said that he wanted to borrow Tanghua's place to look at the good things he had recently obtained. Tanghua knew what Gongshi Smile was doing and led him to a more spacious area in the Purple Tower. Gongshi Smile released all the flowers. The entire space was filled with all kinds of flowers. It was hard to look away. Chapter 4290. Seeing the surprise in Tanghua's eyes, Gongshi smiled faintly and said, "When I heard you talking about the flowers outside, I was also very curious. What does it look like when so many flowers are placed together?" "Very beautiful. Didn't Mr. Gongshi say that the flowers outside have a fragrance? Why don't the flowers picked from outside have a fragrance as well?" Facing Tanghua's question, Gongshi was speechless. He didn't know how to answer. Without waiting for Gong Shi Smiling's answer, Tangwa continued, could it be that after these flowers are picked, they don't emit a fragrance? Perhaps. Gong Shi Smiling saw Yi Si's disappointed look and felt a little annoyed that he had said so much about the outside world. Why did he say so much? One was a virtual world, and the other was the real world. No matter how realistic the virtual world was, it couldn't be compared to the real world. All the food here was a string of data, including the person in front of him, Empress Zeta, who looked like a real person. Although I can't smell the fragrance, when these flowers are placed together, they do look special and beautiful. Such beautiful flowers, I want to hold a tea party and invite everyone to come in and enjoy them. Tangwa looked at Gong Shi Smiling. Mr. Gong Shi, do you mind sharing this beauty with others? Of course not. Gong Shi Smiling was stunned for a moment. How could he share this beauty with others? Tangwa ordered the servants in the Purple Tower to place the flowers in various places in the Purple Tower. One type of flower could cover the entire Purple Tower. When Empress Zeta opened the tea party and invited the players to participate, the players were very surprised. This was the first time the Purple Tower was open to the public, and this time, they didn't have to work hard to break in. Soon, the players who could come from all over the Purple Tower arrived one after another. Knowing that the flowers were sent here by Gong Shi Smiley, the players' expressions changed. Why was this tycoon everywhere they went? Speaking of which, Gong Shi Smiling gave the flowers to Empress Zeta. Could it be that he wanted to develop a relationship with this NPC? In the midst of the discussion, the players admired the beautiful flowers. A few days later, Song Lin, who had collected 10,000 kinds of flowers, came to Tangwa. When he took out 10,000 types of flowers and placed them in front of her, Tangwa looked at them disinterestedly and lost interest. Because these flowers were far less beautiful than the ones Gong Shi had sent with a smile. Song Lin's mission was barely completed. Because these things were not considered good, Tangwa did not give him a divine weapon. Instead, she gave him an inferior weapon. As for the teleportation formation, it was better to lend it to him. After learning the truth, Song Lin was not in a good mood. With the comparison, Empress Zeta would certainly discount his results. He was a little annoyed at Gong Shi Smile. 7 or 8 Chinese carat computer terminal. Mr. Gong Shi, thank you for telling me about the outside world. You've done your job. One day, Tangwa suddenly said to Gong Shi Smiling, this is your reward and the teleportation formation of the Purple Tower. You can use it now. Gong Shi Smiling looked at the bead that Tangwa handed to him. He did not know what it was. Tangwa explained, this is a teleportation crystal ball. You can use the crystal ball to teleport to any place it covers. Gong Shi Smiling was a little surprised. Did the game company make such a powerful divine weapon? Thank you, Empress Zeta, for your hospitality these days. Tangwa, you're welcome. Mr. Gong Shi told me a lot about the outside world. I'm very happy. If Empress Zeta really likes the outside world, I'll bring you some pictures when I have time. The safety of the Purple Tower City is the most important thing. Don't go out unless you have something important to do. He had to say goodbye to this virtual world for now. If he continued, he would not be able to distinguish between reality and virtual reality. Obviously, during this time, he had already regarded Empress Zeta as a real person. Mr. Gong Shi, you're welcome to come to the Purple Tower City at any time. Gong Shi Smiling was the only person who could make Empress Zeta invite him. When Gong Shi Smiling got up from the nourishment chamber sensed it and opened automatically. There were several people guarding the chamber. 2 of them were wearing white coats. Seeing that he was awake, they quickly came to check his body. They knocked on Gong Shi Smiling's legs and asked, Mr. Meng, do you feel anything here? After Song Lin passed through the teleportation formation, he still felt that something was wrong. Suddenly, he remembered that killing Empress Zeta would also give him a mysterious reward. He had an idea and came to the Purple Tower City again. Chapter 4291. When Song Lin returned to Purple Pagoda City, he realized that Gong Shi Smile was not by Tangwa's side. It was almost impossible to kill an NPC like Tangwa in Purple Pagoda City. When the game was first set up, The game officials said that killing Empress Zeta in Purple Pagoda City would make one invincible. No matter how strong the players on the leaderboards were, they would not be able to defeat her. Her weakness was that she could leave Purple Pagoda City. Therefore, if he wanted to kill Empress Zeta, there was only one way, and that was to lure her out of Purple Pagoda City before he killed her. Since the game officials had reminded him of this, there would definitely be a special reward for killing Empress Zeta. Song Lin's idea was known by the few core members of the guild. They knew that he approached Empress Zeta to lure her out to kill her. However, in the eyes of the other players, Song Lin's attentive behavior was simply to pursue Empress Zeta and develop a relationship with her. They remembered that Song Lin had just defeated the Half-Moon Princess not long ago. This was an NPC that many players wanted to defeat. In the end, Song Lin succeeded, but not long after, he had a change of heart. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Because this was a game, a virtual world, the ones being defeated were all NPCs. Most of the players treated this place as a game. Song Lin's behavior was a little bad, but it seemed to be normal in the game. Many players who wanted to marry the Half-Moon Princess were still hoping that Song Lin would succeed. When he was together with Empress Zeta, they would have a chance to defeat the Half-Moon Princess. Song Lin knew that Empress Zeta was very interested in the outside world. Therefore, every time he came to Tangwa, he would bring some trinkets that he found outside Purple Pagoda City. In his opinion, as long as it was something that could not be found in Purple Pagoda City, it would be able to attract Empress Zeta. Just now, Song Lin had a sudden impulse and read a poem to Tangwa. He wanted to see the NPC's reaction. When he recited poems in front of the Half-Moon Princess, he was praised for his talent. If it had been an NPC who hadn't realized what was going on, they might have been able to analyze his reaction from the big data and would have praised Song Lin. However, Tangwa wasn't a real NPC. After listening to Song Lin recite the poem, she looked at Song Lin and said, "Young Master Song, the poem you recited just now, if I remember correctly, should be written by a poet of a fallen country. He wrote it to commemorate the fall of his country. Also, there's a word that you've mispronounced. It's been changed recently. Also, there are a few places where your sentences are broken. It doesn't sound very smooth." Song Lin. He had just randomly searched for a poem. He did not expect Chindu to lie and give him a poem by a poet from a fallen country. The person who asked the question clearly needed a love poem. What made him feel even more embarrassed was that he even made a mistake in his sentence. The most embarrassing thing was that he had mispronounced a word. Of course, the most frightening thing was that when Tangwa recited the poem again, he could feel the mocking gazes of the players around him. "Misty Lady, in this day and age, if you don't have some skills, don't do these useless things. That scumbag actually seduced Empress Zeta when I wasn't around. Doesn't he still have the Half-Moon Princess?" Rosa Rubra. Because this is a game, a virtual world. Young Master Song is just a player. It's not strange for him to do something like this. "Misty Lady, I don't care if he seduces other NPCs, but Empress Zeta is my favorite NPC. Chapter 4292. Misty Lady said, "Sister Rose, are you going to watch Empress Zeta be conquered by him?" At that time, perhaps the Song family's young master would really think of a way to conquer the Purple Tower Empress. Look at Half-Moon Princess. Didn't all the players love to conquer her? In the end, young Master Song took the initiative. It shows that he is very good at this. "In my heart, Empress Zeta is sacred and inviolable. Even Boss Gong, she said that Empress Zeta is a fairy. Even our boss has never thought of such a thing. Is that song worthy? Scumbag." Misty Lady got angrier as she spoke. "In short, I believe that as a fan of Empress Zeta, no one wants to see Empress Zeta be conquered by a pervert." Rosa Rubra said, "I actually think that this is not appropriate, but this is the mechanism of the game. I don't think the two of us can stop it. Besides, young Master Song is the leader of a big gang. The two of us don't seem to be enough." Rosa Rubra thought for a moment and said, "However, I have an idea. Why don't we tell her young Master Song's true colors? Doesn't she know that Half-Moon Princess is married? She doesn't know that this person is young Master Song. Half Moon Princess probably doesn't know that young Master Song is now conquering Empress Zeta. I just don't know if these two NPCs will be able to react after hearing our reminder. According to my guess, since they are so intelligent and can imitate many human behaviors, they will probably be able to find out what a scumbag is from the data. Misty Lady said, "Okay, let's do it. After that scumbag Song leaves, we will go and find Empress Zeta." Because Song Lin was a little embarrassed today, he didn't say much to Tangua and left in a hurry. He had to think of another way. Attacking Empress Zeta was obviously much more difficult than attacking the Half Moon Princess. All of his previous tricks were useless against the Purple Tower Empress. After Song Lin left, Misty Lady and Rosa Rubra came to Tangua. Perhaps it was because of the previous mission, the two of them felt that Empress Zeta was friendlier towards them. Suyo Literature seeing them coming over, he didn't call the guards to stop them. The two of them smoothly walked up to Tangua. "What can I do for you?" Tangua glanced at the two of them indifferently. Previously, the two of them were standing aside in a daze. It was obvious that they were privately messaging each other. Now that Song Lin left, they came to find her. They were probably talking about her. Misty Lady spoke first. Her voice was so soft that only Empress Zeta could hear it. "Empress Zeta, that young Master Song isn't a good person. Empress Zeta, you better not believe his flowery words, and don't be tempted by such a scumbag." Rosa Rubra hated scumbags the most. Whether it was in the game world or the real world, she had been cheated on by her boyfriend. "Empress Zeta, do you know that young Master Song has another identity?" She discovered that the Purple Tower Empress was deep in thought. She was clearly analyzing what they had said. Perhaps the reminder this time could cause some trouble for the Song family's young master. "Who is he?" Tangua asked. "This young Master Song does have some problems. He always says some strange things in front of me. Just now, he even read me a poem about the fall of a country. If it weren't for the wrong words and the wrong sentence, I would have thought that he was implying that my Purple Tower city was going to be destroyed. Could it be that this person is eager to show off and randomly found some poems to attract my attention? His cultural level is not good enough. He can't even find a suitable poem. He is extremely funny. He is just a clown fishing for fame." Misty Lady and Rosa Rubra, they seem to be overthinking. Peek. Chapter 4293. Tangua came back to her senses and asked, "You said before that this person has another identity?" Rosa Rubra immediately understood that Empress Zeta really didn't know who the Half Moon Princess was married to. This young Master Song's other identity is that he is the husband of the Half Moon Princess. Empress Zeta only knows that the Half Moon Princess is married, but it seems like she doesn't know who her husband is. Rosa Rubra said. Tangua's face was filled with shock. "I never thought that this person would be the Half Moon Princess husband. Then why isn't he at Half Moon Lake? What is he doing here? Is he trying to use poetry to attract my attention?" Misty Lady angrily said, "What else could it be? He's a half-hearted, fickle-minded, ungrateful, despicable person. When he saw the beauty of the Purple Tower Empress, he forgot about his wife at home and fell in love with someone else. It seems like this person really isn't much. I already felt that he was strange and gave off an uncomfortable feeling." Tangua's expression became cold. This person's words are sweet and flowery. Only someone as pure as the Half Moon Princess would be tricked by him. Now that they are married, the Half Moon Princess is deeply in love with him. With how good he is at tricking her, no matter what he says, the Half Moon Princess won't listen. The Half Moon Princess was set up like this. Once she believed in someone, she truly believed in them. Unless she saw it with her own eyes, she wouldn't suspect that the person she liked had betrayed her. Even if she was abandoned, she would still reflect on whether or not she had done the right thing. Setting up an NPC like this wasn't a big deal. After all, this was a game. However, Song Lin was the son of fate. Any NPC that he attacked would slowly awaken their own consciousness. If they didn't awaken their own consciousness, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, once they gained their own consciousness, it would be cruel to NPCs. No matter what, I still have to tell the Half Moon Princess about this. Tangua looked at the two of them. I'm very worried about the Half-Moon Princess, but I still have to defend Purple Tower City, so I want to ask the two of you to help me send a letter to the Half-Moon Princess. The two of them accepted the mission without hesitation and left with Tangua's letter. Right now, Song Lin was too focused on the Empress Zeta, Tangua. He had no time to pay attention to the Half-Moon Princess. He basically treated the Half-Moon Princess as a tool and would only look for her when he needed her. As a gamer, how could he have feelings for an NPC? When Half-Moon Princess received a letter from Misty Lady, she quickly opened it when she heard that it was from Empress Zeta. The kind Half-Moon Princess had already treated Empress Zeta as a good friend. When she received the letter, she was very happy. Half-Moon Princess, I didn't think that Empress Zeta would remember me again. I'm really happy that she remembers me as a friend. Thank you for helping to send the letter. I have some small toys here that I hope you guys will like. Misty Lady and Rosa Rubra each received a small toy. It wasn't expensive, so they were very happy. When Half-Moon Princess finished reading the letter, her first reaction was, "My husband shouldn't be that kind of person. Empress Zeta might have misunderstood." She anxiously walked around in circles. It seemed that she was very anxious. But I believe that Empress Zeta wouldn't say bad things about my husband for no reason. She was worried about me, so she sent the letter. So, what should I do? I have to solve this misunderstanding. Otherwise, it won't be good for the three of us. Chapter 4294. Seeing the Half-Moon Princess pondering, the two didn't know what to say. No wonder many players wanted to capture the Half-Moon Princess. How many people wouldn't like such a pure and kind girl? Rosa Rubra suggested, if you ask young Master Song directly, it might affect your relationship. He might think that you don't believe him. Half-Moon Princess seemed to have grasped the key point and quickly asked, then what should I do? I'm very confused right now. I don't want to lose Empress Zeta as a good friend, and I don't want to lose my husband. My suggestion is to observe silently. Since arguing will hurt your relationship, you might as well secretly observe the truth of the matter. Empress Zeta isn't a stingy person. If she didn't value you as a friend, she wouldn't have sent the letter. Misty Lady also added, recently, young Master Song has been coming to Empress Zeta every day. You don't believe anything I say. Maybe you will only believe it if you see it with your own eyes. He really is trying to please Empress Zeta every day. I guess that he wants to get Empress Zeta's favor first, then break off the marriage with you. Half-Moon Princess looked sad, but her eyes were still stubborn. I still don't want to believe it. Rosa Rubra came up with another idea. Half-Moon Princess, you should receive many people every day. Why don't you ask these people? That should be fine, right? This is fine, Half-Moon Princess said hesitantly. Okay, I'll ask the people who come and go. Rosa Rubra said, do you have anything you want us to bring to Empress Zeta? We're going back now. Half-Moon Princess still entrusted them with a letter. After the two of them brought it back and showed it to Tangua, Tangua discovered that Half-Moon Princess indeed had some self-awareness. Madam Host, Half-Moon Princess is currently asking the people doing the mission about Song family's young master coming to attack you. Those players probably wanted to see how the Half-Moon Princess would react, so they told her about it. Now, it's the 5th quest taker, and the content is about the same. In 2 days, I will send a letter to the Half-Moon Princess. I hope that she will join forces with us to deal with the scumbag. By the way, how is Saintess Huanjun doing recently? It's pretty good. Countless players are tortured to death by her every day. They can't complete the mission and fail a few times. She's very happy. The system said that if she didn't meet Song Lin, the son of destiny, Saintess Huanjun would undoubtedly be a very special NPC in the game, the kind that made players grit their teeth in hatred. By the way, Huanjun has been asking the quest takers about the outside world and about you. I think she wants to find you. That's pretty good. Pay more attention to Huanjun. If she comes out of the Bayman Desert, inform me first. Misty Lady and Rosa Rubra had already left. They had to do missions to level up. It was said that a new map would be added next month. They already had the qualifications to experience the new map, so they had to level up quickly. They didn't know what dangers there would be in the new map. For 2 days, Half Moon Princess asked the quest takers about what Song Lin was doing every day. The answer she received was that Song Lin was pursuing Empress Zeta. He was very passionate and sent Empress Zeta flowers and gifts every day. The sad Half Moon Princess didn't know what to do. Don't be fooled by how she didn't show anything when she was assigning missions. Peaked that you're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.